1. I work at a casual fine dining place in outback Queensland. Imagine white tablecloths and a bunch of cutlery with table service. But we greet customers with, "Hi guys," as standard. We're in the very beginning of the on-season at the moment. We have a buffet available for breakfast when we have a group in, otherwise it's a la carte. The other morning I had a small local group in, 16 packs, legends a lot of them. And they were just finishing up around 8:20 a.m. All lovely, polite, all around 10 out of 10, could not complain. Excellent morning. And then a 10-top walked in. No stress. I'm solo and so is the kitchen. But this is easy. And they all wanted the buffets, so we were super happy. Quick top up, everyone is happy. Then 30 more people walked in, apparently a part of the same family reunion party. My restaurant seats 110 total, all seats occupied when they're sat. I was running around pulling cutlery, apologizing to the chef about the nonsense, making 20-odd coffees, explaining there was a wait on the buffet refill as people walked in and sat themselves, and then, and bloody then, I had a couple walk up to close up their bill. Usually it's by table, but I was solo, so I was flying by the seat of my pants, and the honesty of others. This rude couple comes up to pay for a glass of juice and a piece of toast. Now our breakfast buffet is a typical setup. I could see what was there: bacon, eggs, mushrooms, the rest was waiting on the kitchen. Our point of sale is not set up for this order. "Oh, so you had the continental buffet?" I inquired.
"No, glass of juice and a piece of toast."
Keep in mind, that is not something we offer, ever, to our customers, so I have no way to charge you for it.
"We've waited almost an hour, no food came out, and all we could do was have a piece of toast and juice."
It broke me. I dropped my customer service face. I just said, "Just pay me for the glass of juice and please leave." He handed me a $5. I said, "Thank you, have a beautiful day." He said,
"Actually, we had 3 glasses of juice."
Tried to hand me another 10. I said, "Don't bother, please get out," and he left. I had this same interaction with at least 10 other people. I punched in some random orders and completely detached. The rest were lovely and very understanding of the wait, but that rudeness and entitledness. Like, guys, you did not book for a group of 40 half an hour before we close breakfast. I thank my lucky stars that we'd had that amazing group in, or the entire debacle would have been a la carte, and I think my chef would have had an aneurysm. Please share your non-booker stories to restore what shreds remain of my sanity. 2. So my boss has us not seat anyone past a quarter to close. From that point until 5 minutes to close, we are to go only. After that, we're essentially closed, but we make exceptions, especially if someone comes in at the last minute and just wants like a cup of soup or some meatballs or something like that. Monday night, it's 8:45, we close at 9. 3 people come inside and I immediately tell them we are to go only. We aren't seating anymore for the night. Pretty much everything except the floors are done and the kitchen is 2/3 of the way done cleaning up. Anyways, 2 women and 1 guy. The first woman is the main aggressor here. She starts trying to barter with us to let her sit, essentially, before going nuclear. "Well, why can't we sit? There's still people in here." "Ma'am, all the people in here are finished eating and about to leave." Stuff like that. I proceed to tell her I'm sorry, it's not my rule. Our boss doesn't want us seating until the last minute because we're a local place and he doesn't want to have to pay the entire staff for over an hour after close because you decided you can't go out to eat until 10 minutes before the restaurant closes. This woman literally stomps her foot and starts throwing a tantrum like a child. "This is bullshit. I work in restaurants. Nowhere else does this. There are still people in here. You should let us sit anyway." The other woman in the group is peppering her friend's tirade with insults and screams of her own.
"This is horrible service. How dare you not seat us?"
I offered them to go like 6 times, wasn't good enough. This entire time I'm staying calm and apologizing. It's not my rule. I'm not doing this just to be rude. They go stomp out the door and they hilariously try to slam the door, which has the thing that makes it shut slowly because it's glass. I don't know if that makes them madder or what. As the door starts to shut, I'm ashamed to admit I lost my patience again and snapped at them without raising my voice. You don't need to be so rude. The guy comes to grab his to go and she screams in his face.
They're refusing to sit us. They're to go only, so I hope you don't want to sit and eat. They wouldn't let us sit.
The poor guy just shrinks away and comes inside. The lady's friend comes back to the door and opens it again.
We're never fucking coming back.
She shrieks into the restaurant. I feel bad for all the customers still in the restaurant. They'll just think the lady is fucking nuts. After they leave, I lose it a little and kind of start to break down in front of my coworker. I'm so sick of all these people screaming at me for stuff that isn't my fault or I didn't do. I went outside and called my mom and cried. I've been doing this for over 10 years. And I've never had so many rude customers the entire time I've been doing this as I have in the last 3 months. Can someone please tell me what the fuck is going on? 3. A few years ago, I was working as a McDonald's manager. I would work any hours I was given and usually ended up working 2 overnight shifts a week. At McD, you usually have people try to come through and scam you, but they don't usually come back to the same store multiple times a week. You could probably pull up and say they forgot a burger, and they would probably give you one free. While working overnight around 2 or 3 a.m., slowest part of the night at this store, a few months before I quit, there was a big Toyota truck that would pull up and sit with their window up for 10 minutes, and then would order the same thing every time he came by.
Hello? Anyone there? I've been waiting for 10 minutes already.
Keep in mind, we have been calling out to him for the whole time.
Yeah, can I get a Big Mac meal with extra cheese?
He would pull up, pay, and after we give him the food, he would roll up his window and sit there for another 5 minutes. We would try multiple times to knock on his window or wave to him to get him to leave, but he wouldn't. After he opens his window again, he would accuse us of not putting on the extra cheese. I believe so we would end up remaking it and giving him the original too. That is until the 3rd or 4th time he tried when I realized what he was doing. So I personally took his order the next time, personally made the order, took a picture of the sandwich and showed it to the security camera to ensure I had all the evidence I needed. I presented him with his food and waited. After he opened his window and told me he wanted a new burger, I showed him the picture.
That's just what you think you did, but that's not what I got.
Okay, sir, I'm going to need to refuse service to you from now on.
You can't do that to a customer.
Okay, then I'm forced to call the police if you do not leave. Then he sped off. Next week, he tried again. I called one of the kitchen guys and tell him to act like the police on the phone. Then held the phone up to the mic and he sped off. He tried multiple times after, always waiting longer in the phone call till I ended up calling the non-emergency number for advice. In all, he tried about 20 times after the first burger. He ended up ripping half the sandwich apart and claiming we gave it to him like that. And it kept getting worse till I stopped serving him. When I brought it up to my manager, he said I did the right thing, but when the corporate manager came in, he said, "Well, some people can't afford food for them and their families, so you shouldn't be so harsh." I promptly ignored that, as I had permission to do what I was doing, and he was usually smelling of booze, driving a brand new expensive truck. I don't know if there's anything I missed out, but if you have any questions, please ask away. 4. I was managing a mid-level to upscale bar and restaurant. There was a guy who came in all the time. I noticed him, but didn't really know much about him. He was coming in for well over a year. He never seemed to cause an issue, just a lonely guy who enjoyed trying to talk to the bartenders. This particular night, I'm standing by the host stand, just watching how things are going. It's a random Wednesday, not particularly busy. I didn't even notice the guy was there at all. He bursts in the front doors and gets in my face, out of nowhere, and he says,
Aren't you the manager?
I say yes, and he says,
Why don't you work your fucking bargain lot? My truck got stolen.
I can smell the booze on his breath. I don't panic. I tell him it's impossible to expect me to watch the parking lot because my job is to watch the inside of the business. He keeps yelling at me that his truck is stolen, and since I'm not panicking or upset, I must have done it. I tell him he's being ridiculous and he needs to calm down. He tells me to F myself and said,
"You want me to call the police?"
One thing I've learned from working in bars and restaurants, when a drunk person threatens to call the police, that means they're solving my problem for me. So I tell him, I dare you to call the police.
"You dare me? You dare me?"
He goes outside and calls 911 and lets them know his Nissan pickup has been stolen. I go outside to try to calm him down, and I ask him, "Where did you park?" He points,
"Right over by that fucking tree."
I don't know why, but the cops show up in less than 2 minutes. One cop gets out of his car immediately and asks the guy what happened. And of course, the guy goes crazy, ranting and raving. The cop looks at me, and I give a look at the cop that says, "Good luck with this one, pal." There's another police car slowly cruising the parking lot looking for clues or evidence, I figure. While the cop is trying to calm down Berserko, the radio on his chest says, "Hey Dave, what color is the Nissan?" Drunk boy goes,
"It's fucking yellow,"
but yells it into the cop's chest, as if the radio was going to magically pick that up. The cop relays the message correctly, and the officer on the radio responds,
"It's parked over here on the far side of this tree." "Oh, I must have parked on the other side,"
and walks away like nothing happened. To be polite, I apologize to the cop for the drunk's behavior and wasting his time. And the cop lets down his guard and makes a comment about, "There's one like this every night." We are about to engage in some small talk, and the cop audibly says, "What in the actual fuck?" and watches drunk boy start the truck and pull out of his spot. The cop is stunned and grabs his radio.
Hey, stop that guy in the yellow truck."
They arrest him for DUI in my parking lot. The same cops that were called on me for stealing a truck. 5. So, today I had one of the most bizarre, unexpected things happen. I want to start this out by saying I've been in the restaurant industry and serving for about 12 years now. Specifically, I've been in my job for the past 5. I work for a mom-and-pop shop barbecue place, and there was a small group of us, and we all typically get along pretty well. But with that being said, we have some teenagers who work for us, and teenagers do what teenagers do. Specifically, we have 2 17-year-olds, a boy and a girl, and whenever they're working together, there's a lot of grab-assing, and we're in an open kitchen, and they get very inappropriate with each other very quick. And if it's not them joking around together, it's them arguing really bad, to the point where they swear at each other, and customers in the dining room end up hearing them. Myself and a couple of my other coworkers constantly have to correct them and tell them to quiet down, or tell them go find something to do, or we end up sending them home early. The owner of the restaurant always has a conversation the following day that they work together, where he'll ask how bad were they together. Last night they worked together, and she got a little rude with him, but it was a quick thing, and it was done and over with, and that's exactly what I said to my boss. My boss decided he wanted to know more, so he said something to the boy, and it was a very innocent conversation of, "Hey, was she rude to you?" And he said, "Yeah, but I think she was just messing around, it's not a big deal." Well, apparently it was a big deal because he said something to the 17-year-old girl, who went and complained to her parents about it, because apparently she doesn't like being corrected when she's in the wrong. And her mother came in and pulled an entire Will Smith and told me and everyone else to keep her daughter's name out of our mouths, or else she was going to beat everyone's ass. Now, I don't know how everyone else here feels in the situation, but my personal opinion is I don't like hearing about what I need to improve on any more than the next person does. And I might even go home and spout off about it, but You don't see my significant other who I live with coming in to yell at my coworkers. If you want to work with adults, you need to act like an adult, and you need to hold yourself accountable when you're doing something wrong. I'm at the point where this isn't the first time this has happened with this girl, and I'm going to say something to my boss tomorrow morning about it, but at this point, I don't even think she should work there anymore. I'm really not even understanding why he tolerated it the first time it happened. Maybe I'm wrong here, but if you still need mommy and daddy to come in and yell at your coworkers, who are in their late 20s and early 30s, maybe you shouldn't work in that specific place. The parents of the 17-year-old girl are kind of friends with the owner. The girl's mom manages a store in the same building as the restaurant we're in, so everyone's gotten to know each other quite well over the years. So it's not like she's just some random kid off the street, which, in my opinion, adds insult to injury. Because I feel like not only is there not any respect on the 17-year-old's part, but there's no respect for the business on her mother's part either, for her to come into this business and act like that. Anyways, to update on the situation, I spoke to my boss this morning because I was grinding my teeth about it for quite a while last night. I would like to toss out that I advocate for this 17-year-old girl there all the time to make sure that she's being treated fairly because other servers try to take advantage and not tip her out correctly as a busser. My boss said he spoke to the girl's mother and father this morning, and that he was upset, so he basically asked them what the hell was going on, and the girl's father was a lot more realistic about the situation, saying like, she over-exaggerates things all the time. I don't know why you didn't try to get the full story and just went in there, ready to yell at people. To the girl's mother, and then my boss said to her mom directly, I don't know why you would go to yell at me, because I'm always the one making sure that there's fair treatment. But I'm also always the one to make sure that the kids that work there specifically are staying on task and doing what they're supposed to, and then I'm never rude about it. The thing that's bothering me the most is he kind of just left it at that. He didn't tell me if he gave any warnings about if it happens again, she'll be fired, or there was nothing about how unprofessional that was, and that even though she's a teenager, she is still expected to act like an adult in the workplace, and that everyone's actions in that situation were extremely disrespectful. She goes away to college in August, so I'm not really concerned about her getting fired. But I definitely will be the first person to speak up if anything along these lines ever happens again. Also, not for nothing, but I feel like I'm entitled to some type of an apology, and I'm at the point where I really don't want to work the same shift as the girl because she does have a terrible tendency to twist things around and manipulate situations. Also, I'm not sure how to conduct myself with her mother at this point, because there's a petty part of me that wants to be really rude to her, but then there's another part of me that would like to be the bigger person and would like to remain professional. But I still think that I should personally say something. Like, I feel like because this was a work situation, I should just deal with it at work, and only at work, because I really am half tempted to text the girl's parents, because I have both of their numbers. I do know them on a personal level, and just let them know what I really think of them, and that if they have such a problem with me correcting their child, that maybe they shouldn't allow her to work there. Because if they really know how she acted at work, they would freak. Also, I'm half tempted to just be a little petty and say, are you really going to run to her college every time someone does something she doesn't like? Or are you going to let her eventually deal with her own problems? And then the other petty part of me wants to tell them that their actions are a recipe for a very codependent adult child someday. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here. And thank you very much for listening to Spinning Plates, episode 208. That rhymed. Yay. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. Before you go, I would appreciate it if you dinged the bell and poked the thing and just bloop. You know how this works. You've been here before. It's not your first day. You know what to do. You're smart people. Okay, let's see. It's the weekend. Let's not stress ourselves. I think there's a shout out. Let me double check. There is a shout out. Okay, the shout out goes to the author of story number 3. And that is Reddit user Skymore24. That also rhymes. Everybody's being a poet today. Thank you very much, Skymore24, for allowing us to use your story. Much appreciated. Okay, now let's see. In lieu of no other business, we'll move right along to Hellfreezer's question of the day. And today's question is, what is the last question you've never given a thought to, but then when you heard it, you suddenly realized, I want to know the answer to that. Like I just recently, as in just now because I was looking for questions, saw the question, do penguins have knees? And now I'm confused because I don't know. What are some of your weird questions that you'd never given a thought to, but when you heard them, it was all you could think about? Please leave your answers in a comment below. With that, I'm going to head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourselves. Turns out the answer is yes, penguins do actually have knees.